Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna talk about cutting. We're gonna talk about losing some fat because as I make this video, spring has sprung. The trees out there that have the white flowers that smell like crap but look really cool are in full effect. So I'm sure you have some activities around the corner where you might be needing to look nice and lean. Or maybe it's just that time of year, you're past your winter arc where we are, most of us, wearing more bulky clothing, right? We got the sweatshirts and the sweatpants, and now we're going from long sleeves to short sleeves and maybe even some short shorts. So with that in mind, I'm gonna give you some very tangible steps to start losing weight. Like right after you watch this video, you can start putting these into effect. We're gonna go over some of the more basic things on how to start losing weight without tracking calories, but I will also give some of the more dedicated people that do want to track calories, I'll give you some tips as well. So let's get right into it. To start losing weight, you need to understand one thing. That is, you need to be in a caloric deficit, meaning that you're burning more calories than you're consuming, right? Now, I know that's very basic, but I think a lot of the times there's misinformation out there. There's a lot of different opinions, but that's just how it works. That's just science. That's just facts for losing weight. So with that out of the way, how do we start figuring out how many calories per day do I need to be in a deficit of? I'm glad you asked. That's why I got this trusty laptop right here. So what I'm gonna be showing you guys is an amazing tool called TDEE calculator. Boom. You're gonna go to that first one, tdeecalculator.net. Click on that bad boy. I'm gonna walk you through how to do this. And yes, this equation in this website is very, very accurate. I've used it for a long time now, and it's always been within about 10%. And you can look at the FAQs to kind of get a little more information of how exactly it works. So we're gonna put in my age. Yeah, 33. I'm sure you thought I was like 25 or something, right? Because the baldness doesn't age me at all. I am right around 180 right now. Solid 6 foot. Okay, now I will warn you, this is the most important part. Your activity level. You need to be as honest with this part as possible or it's gonna really throw you for a loop. So for me, I'm most of the time 5 days a week of actual lifting. And I've been playing some pickleball recently. So I'm gonna put 3 to 5 days because I think 6 to 7 is gonna throw my numbers, a little too high. Body fat will give you a more accurate calorie count. I don't have mine right now too accurate, so I'm just gonna calculate without that. And I can tell you, before I even look, I'm not looking, that for me, most of the time, my maintenance is right around 3,000-ish, probably closer to like 3,200. So most of the time for these kind of calculators, especially ones that are more accurate, you're gonna have 500 calories minus for your deficit and 500 calories plus for your surplus, right? If you're trying to bulk. So let's see how close it got. All right, so 2,789 calories per day. You can see it gives you a ton of different statistics here. It talks about the equation, the Mifflin-St. Jean formula, which that is how they get all these numbers for you. It's widely known to be the most accurate equation. Okay, and so you can see right here, if I went to heavy exercise, 3104. And then especially if you go athlete, which, there might be some people out there that was like the 2-a-day kind of workout, you can see the huge variance there of how many calories you need per day. And that's where you got to be honest. So what's cool here, it will tell you your ideal weight. So 161, I'd be tiny at 161, damn. Okay, and then another really cool thing is this part, I really like this. Maximum muscular potential. So how ripped could you freaking get? Well, according to Martin Burkhan, your maximum muscular potential is 183 pounds at 5% body fat. Sheesh. Most people have no desire to be 5% body fat though. So you'd be at 192 at 10% body fat and 201 at 15. These numbers are good goals to aim for if you're bulking up. Sick, dude. Okay, so I wanna cut. Boom. It will tell your macronutrients, which is another cool thing, but that's gonna go along the lines of like you have to be tracking. And so if we do go back, my 2,789 calories, I'd say I probably am, and I know this because of trial and error, and that's part of this process. You can't just go and be like, all right, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna eat exactly 2,789 calories, boom. you kind of have to mess with it. And we're going to talk about that next in terms of how to know when to go up or when to go down. But I say I would be probably closer to that 3,104, just knowing myself historically for that maintenance. So let's actually go and change that. Heavy exercise, recalculate. And you see it also says up here, if you put your body fat percentage, you'll have a more accurate count. Okay, so for me, cutting, right? It's gonna be exactly that 500 calories minus per day from your maintenance. So 2,604 calories. Perfect, and it talks about right here, 500 calorie per day deficit. Okay, so with that in mind, you can use that calculator. Great starting point for everybody, right? Doesn't matter who you are, put your stuff in there. It's gonna give you a very, very close estimation of how many calories you should start getting per day. Where this number comes from is 3,500 calories is said to be a pound of body fat. So that brings us to our next point. When you're doing 500 calories per day of a deficit, that's a pound a week. That is a very good trajectory to be on. 0.5 to 1 pound a week of body fat loss, perfect. You're killing it. Once you start getting too much more than that, in my opinion, and I've seen it a lot, your body starts fighting you, right? We have a lot of history and genetics and survival mechanisms that don't want us to starve to death. So when you start starving to death, your body actually stores fat. It won't burn through fat. It's literally trying to hold on to fat stores for energy. Now, start with this equation that we talked about. If you're not losing at least a pound or a half pound a week, right? Or if you're losing more than a pound a week, I would taper it back a little. There is a caveat to this. If you are pretty overweight, you will probably lose more fat in the beginning than somebody who is more closer to their normal weight range, right? So just keep that in mind. Obviously, there's infinite possibilities of body shapes, body types, activity level, things out there. So that's where, unfortunately, it is a trial and error. But with this start, you can get very close right off the bat to start losing weight, for sure. No doubt about it. All right, so with this equation in mind, you're using it, right? But now you're like, yo, Ryan, you said I don't have to track. And, looking at these calories, yeah, so mine were pretty specific, 2,289 or whatever it was. I would basically have to track, right? MyFitnessPal is always what I've used. I'd have to track my calories every single day to know if I'm getting to those calories. True. But I will give you a quick hack. I love this hack. I think it's such an easy way to implement this without tracking calories, because I think a lot of the times what happens is people will start, I'm guilty of this too, right? I'll track for 5 days, Monday through Friday, boom, perfect. Hey man, Friday, it's the weekend. I'm going out. I'm hitting some restaurants. I'm getting some whatever, right? Harder to track. Well, I ate 50 chips at a Mexican restaurant. How the frick are you gonna put that in MyFitnessPal? That's a lot of calories. And then you stop tracking. And then for weeks, you're like, well, I forgot to track, whatever. Okay, so I get that that's a hurdle. And I also understand that that completely derails people. Here's what I would tell you. What you need to do, because I'm sure we all have these. I have foods that I eat pretty much every single day. For me, a Lara bar or some sort of the RX bar, right? Another one of like those protein bars. Those are about 220, 230 calories. I just take that away. Instantly, I stop eating those. Yeah, it sucks. I like those. That's 230 calories per day. Maybe I drink a glass of milk. And like for me, usually I do a Lara bar, a glass of milk, kind of wash it down, right? The taste isn't the best. Right there, if I take those two things away from my diet, 500 calories a day. Easy. Over the course of the week, 3,500 calories. That's a pound. So just think about things like that instead of having to track and being so specific, so dialed. If you just want to kind of ride the easy train, start taking away foods that you know are pretty calorically dense, right? You could take away olive oil, you could take away butter. These kind of things, soda and alcohol, perfect example of this. Just take those away, don't change your diet, you will start losing weight, guaranteed. Now, the scale. The scale can be a friend, and it can also be a freaking enemy you want to punch in the face through out your window every morning. 2 reasons why this might be the case. 1, you step on the scale after maybe a high salt diet, like high salt day, right? High salt meal at night, and it says you've gained 2 pounds overnight. That's not true. It's water weight, it's salt, right? These kind of things. So what I've given advice to people in the past with the scale is if you get an emotional reaction when you step on in the morning and it says plus 2 pounds and you're like, I did everything right yesterday, I hit my workout, I did cardio, I thought I ate pretty healthily. And that's going to make you mad and start your day off wrong. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself, because instantly you're just starting off on the wrong foot, and it's so much harder to keep doing the things that you know you need to do, work out, eat healthy, these kind of things, when the scale is basically lying to you, but it's telling you information, right? So if you have no emotional reaction and you can really, from Monday to Monday or Sunday to Sunday, whenever you think the week starts, you can be like, all right, that's actually what I care about, the weight loss. It's gonna be better to track every single day, just so you have a better kind of like picture of it. And that's where you're looking for that minus 0.5 or minus 1 pound per week. Does it have to be perfect? No. None of this is perfect science. It's really the long-term game, guys. So what I want you guys to do, start employing some of these tactics. Use this calculator, get a rough start of your calories, and comment below with some questions you've had. Maybe you've had experience in the past with trying a diet like this. Maybe you still can't figure out how to get over that hump. I can answer any of your questions. If you want to ask about cardio, ask about lifting weights, these kind of things, please leave them in the comments below. I do this to help people like you with questions like that. So until next time, peace.